At my old job, I typically worked long days, and I routinely came home just before dinner most nights. As far as I knew, my wife had no issues with this. And so when I was able to wrap things up at work and come early, it was always a joy, except when it wasn't. You see, one day I finished up very early and sped home. I crept into the house as I wanted to surprise my wife, only to hear strange noises coming from upstairs. Horrified, I heard the sounds of my wife being with another man.
Oh yes, please don't stop.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. As quietly as I could, I opened our bedroom door to see my wife in bed with none other than my best friend Jerry. The two of them were going at it. To say that I was shocked would be an understatement. And so I pulled out my phone and took several pictures of them before quietly closing the door and heading downstairs. I didn't know what to do with myself. Part of me wanted to rush upstairs and punch my Jerry, but I knew that was probably a terrible idea. So instead, I made myself a drink and just sat on the couch and waited. Sometime later, I heard them begin to move around and then approach the stairs. Looking up, I saw Jerry carrying my wife like they were newlyweds down the stairs.
Oh, babe. I love how Tom always works late so that we can have these fun midday dates.
Me too. Thankfully, he's too stupid to notice. Maybe I can tell him that I have to go away for a business trip this coming weekend, and the two of us can have a couple's weekend at a spa. And of course, make him pay for it.
The two of them began laughing at my expense, but then Jerry looked down the stairs and saw me sitting on the couch. Seeing me must have frightened him as he lost his balance, and my wife slipped from his arms. She fell down the stairs hard, and when she rolled to the bottom, she was in a great deal of pain.
Tom, when did you get home? Listen, it's not what you think.
You can't be serious. I saw you upstairs having serious action with my wife. How long has this been going on? Susan was in too much pain to answer, and Jerry rushed over to comfort her.
You're right, of course. We've been seeing each other for a little over a year now. Listen, Susan is in a lot of pain.
Then call an ambulance. As for me, I'll be leaving. I can't believe the two of you would betray me like this. I didn't know what else to say, and so I left and drove across town to stay in a hotel for the night. After I booked my room, I went downstairs to the restaurant to have dinner when my phone began to ring.
Tom, you need to come quick. Susan is in the hospital.
How is that my problem? I'm not the one that dropped her.
No, you don't get it. The fall caused her to have a miscarriage.
I didn't think anything that he could say would shock me more than seeing the two of them together, but this took me by surprise. I had no idea that my wife was even pregnant. Excuse me? I don't see how that should be of any concern to me. Again, you were the one that was sleeping with her, and then you dropped her.
How can you be so cold? She's your wife, and it's your child.
How do you know that it's my child? The last time that I slept with my wife was months ago, and since you're the only person that has been sleeping with her, I can almost guarantee that it was your child. That, or maybe she was cheating on you as well. I hung up the phone on him, and was about to block his number when I had an idea, and after I finished eating, I headed over to the hospital. I was careful to avoid both my wife and Jerry, and went to speak to the doctor to ask him to run a paternity test for me. The doctor was surprised, but he did agree to do so, and took blood from me for the test. Knowing that our house would be empty, I decided to head home and sleep in my own bed. A few days later, I received another call, this time from my wife's parents. They were enraged and began to yell at me through the phone. What is wrong with you? Why aren't you at the hospital with Susan? Don't you love your wife at all? Love? I used to, but after I found out what she was up to, that changed. Did she even tell you how she was injured? The phone went silent as they began to take in what I was saying. Listen to me. Your daughter has been having an affair with my best friend for over a year, and before you ask, I haven't slept with your daughter for almost 7 months now, which means she was carrying Jerry's baby, not mine. What are you talking about? What proof do you have? And so I sent the pictures that I had taken to them. And again the phone went silent as they looked at them. That's the proof that I have. As for the miscarriage, I had the doctor run a paternity test for me, and in a few days, I'll have proof that it was Jerry's. After a few tense minutes, they began to plead with me to forgive her. They tried to make me feel guilty about how much suffering my wife was going through, and that we had been married for 7 years, and that we shouldn't throw that away. They even tried to promise me that my wife had learned her lesson and that things would be better after this, but I couldn't care less. My wife had been sleeping with Jerry for over a year, and I couldn't forgive either of them for that massive betrayal. You honestly expect me to forgive her after what she did? This wasn't some fling. She'd been sleeping with him for months and she had gotten pregnant. You have no right to ask me to just forget how much of a betrayal this is. I hung up on them after that and tried to calm myself down. A few days later, I contacted a lawyer and told them to write up divorce papers. Once my wife was out of the hospital, my lawyer and I had a meeting with my wife.
Please, Tom, please forgive me. I know that you're very upset, but I don't want you to divorce me. Haven't I suffered enough?
Suffered? Are you trying to make me out to be the bad guy here? No, Susan, I don't think that you've suffered enough. Not after what you and Jerry did to me. I'm sorry, but there is no way that I can ever forgive you. She fell silent and began to weep, but I didn't fall for her act. After that, our divorce was finalized. I had the evidence that she committed adultery, and so my lawyer was able to argue that she was entirely to blame for our marriage falling apart. That meant that he was able to make it so that I didn't have to pay alimony, and that since the house was in my name, that I was able to keep it, although there were too many memories tied to that house. After I sold it, I moved to another city and was able to buy an even nicer home because the market was more favorable there, and I was even able to find a better job with better pay and hours too. As for my best friend, after my divorce, his wife found out about the affair and divorced him as well. I heard that she was awarded over $70,000 in alimony as well as their house. A year later, I was beginning to feel happy and myself again when I got a call from my ex-wife. It turned out that she had married Jerry not long after he was divorced, but that it had ended badly when he had cheated on her. And once again, she went through another divorce. She began to try to remind me of all the good times that we had had, and that she had changed as a person, but I wasn't buying it. It had taken a lot of effort and time for me to heal myself after she had done to me, and I wasn't going to give her another chance to hurt me again. Plus, since then, I had found someone else that treats me far better than she ever did. And I am now in a loving and caring relationship. And not only are we engaged to be married, but we are expecting our first child in 6 months too. I do feel some guilt over the messed up situation that my ex-wife is in, but she has to live with the consequences of her choices. And I am not going to give her the chance to ruin my new life that I've worked hard to earn. For the first time in a long time, I'm truly happy. Thanks for watching.